Recording. Yeah, okay. Marley Rose Harris, welcome to the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast. Thank you so much for taking part in this interview today. When I read your profile, I was very excited to interview you. For those who are unfamiliar with your work, could you tell us what you do?
Yes, so I am very passionate about helping entrepreneurs raise their financial thermostat, heal their limiting beliefs around money to help them become massively wealthy.
Amazing. I watched an interview with you about your story. So how did you come to this? What inspired you to follow this path?
So I think growing up, living in a home where money was always a very large point of tension, there was never enough. It was always the number one topic with arguments. It was always just this very negative thing. But luckily, I had people in our, close circle who did really financially well. Even my grandparents actually did very financially well. So I could see what reality looked like when money wasn't a problem. And I knew from a very young age, like that's the life that I want. Like I want that. I want freedom. I want to be able to go on vacation whenever I want. I am from a very small town in Ontario, Canada, and I hated the winter. I hated the cold. I hated being from a small town. And I just wanted to leave. I wanted to like flee. And I knew that in order to do that, I just needed money. And I became very obsessed with money. In like, I wanted to learn about it. I wanted to understand like how are some people massively wealthy and how are some people struggling. I just couldn't wrap my head around it from a young age. So it was like the beginning of my journey. And long story short, when I graduated from university, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Both my parents were entrepreneurs and I really saw them struggle. So I knew I did not want that. I wanted to have a constant paycheck. I wanted to have benefits, like all the thing, the American dream. And then when I graduated from school and I got the job offer finally, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not what I want at all. I want to be able to work from anywhere in the world. I want to travel the world. I want to work from my laptop. And I want to be in control of how much money I make. If I work harder, I want to be able to earn more money. And when I equip myself and apply myself, I want to be able to earn more. And I knew if I went in corporate, it's like the same amount every year, no matter if you work less or more. And so I've actually never worked in corporate. I said no to that corporate job and I started my first business. And what ended up happening is I went through a very traumatic experience in 2019 on the same year that I started my business. My dad committed suicide,
Oh,
and
wow.
that was the beginning of my spiritual journey. So before that, I was like meditating, just kind of got into the world, and I was getting like very into it, but I I was not doing deep healing. I was doing like surface level healing, what I call. And when I started doing the deeper healing, healing from the grief, healing my inner child, healing all of the, healing my self-confidence, I was in a state before that of struggling with mental health, anxiety, depression. And this moment was almost like a wake-up call for me of like, okay, I don't want to live like that. I don't want anyone else to live like that. And I'm going to do everything in my power to not let this break me. And I went on a deep healing journey. And what ended up happening is because I was growing my business and healing at the same time, it was just kind of natural that I started applying the tools that I was learning from my healing process to business. And my business, I would say, quite quickly grew. And I was able to move to Australia. I was able to work for literally live the dream life that I wanted. And I was getting so many questions. Everyone was like, Marley, how are you working from Australia? How are you growing your business so quickly? Da, da, da. And I was like, well, I'm just doing this, this, and this. Like, are you guys? And they're like, no, no one was applying the mental. They were only doing the physical, logical, editing their sales page, the funnels. And they're wondering why it's not working. But I'm like, you can only attract what you believe is possible. You will never out manifest your beliefs. And so by applying the principles that I was learning with manifestation, law of attraction to business, that's where I saw the most success. Even though I was learning a lot about business from these massive business coaches, I was like, but I don't like that strategy. Like that strategy doesn't resonate with me. I don't want to cold DM anyone. I've never cold DM'd anyone. And No one actually really likes that strategy, let's be honest. And so I am here to teach business in a different way of you don't have to have the fanciest sales page. You don't have to have the fanciest funnel. All you need is to heal your belief system or your vibrational point of attraction around money. And I have clients selling out, making six figures on their sales page, or sorry, on the new program without a sales page. Like it's not about the physical, logical business stuff. It's all to do with what you believe is possible and what you are attracting into your life because it's scientifically proven that you are a vibrational being and it's scientifically proven that you attract your vibration. So if you're vibrating low around money, you are going to not manifest as much money as you desire. So consciously, you might be like, I want to be a millionaire, but subconsciously, there's a threat or there's a block to you attracting that, or else you'd already have it. So that's what I've fully understand. This is like my life's work and what I'm here to teach is like how to become wealthy, but by using your mind, not these logical like business strategy books that personally I don't think work very well. It's all around clearing and getting you in alignment and then clearing anything that comes up that is you have an ingrained belief, a negative ingrained belief around money. And that is what I've seen the most success with myself and my clients.
So death is the biggest life lesson, I believe. Sometimes we can get great learnings from these, very sad experiences, and pain especially is an incentive to make things feel better. I also read that this first business that you started, you actually got burnt out and then changed your philosophy. You changed your direction. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Mm.
So my first business was not my sole purpose. It
Uh-huh.
was something that I was good at doing, and it was something that I liked to do, but it wasn't like I never talked to anyone about websites. I never talked to anyone about brands. I was not passionate about what I was doing. It was just the means to get me to leaving Canada. Then when I realized more about business and more about souls and like soul purpose and work and I'd always had this deep passion for law of attraction, manifestation. And even I started my podcast when I was running that first business and I was talking about manifestation, law of attraction. I never once talked about a website. If you met me, I would never be like, wow, I'm so excited to talk to you about a sales page. I don't want to talk anything about it. So I realized that I'm like, okay, if I'm if I'm in something that I hate doing and is doing well, what is going to happen when I actually love what and I'm not going to like it took me 2 years. It was after 2 years that I was like, okay, I'm so burned out with this. I cannot do this anymore. And it was like literally like the great crumbling. Like everything was falling apart. Clients were like, I was getting like these like crazy client situations that I was like, okay, the universe is just redirecting me. And if I don't listen, I don't know what's gonna happen. So I believe like either you're gonna do it or the universe is gonna do it for you. That's why people get like fired out of nowhere or all these things happen. It's like the universe is redirecting you. And so when everything just kept going wrong and wrong and wrong, I was like, okay, you know what? This is not meant to be anymore. I'm trying to force something. And the universe like, go do your thing that you're meant to do. I was like, okay, fine. So the beginning of 2021 is when I transitioned to my new business, which is what I do now, which is mentoring people. Before I was like designing their website and then they'd be like, okay, well, now how do I build my business? I'm like, well, that's not what I do. Bye. And so essentially, when I started my new business, I just retargeted all those people. Like, actually, now I'm going to teach you how to grow your business. And like, great, we've been waiting for this. And so it was actually a very seamless transition. Um, but it was just like interesting how the universe would not let me continue in that first business. Once I knew what my purpose was and I realized it, they're like, move, make action, change this new thing. And if you don't, we're going to do it for you. And so
Mm.
that was like quite scary, but it was the best thing I've ever done.
So you're talking at the beginning about how, you were really interested in money, but it seems that money was not enough. Yeah.
Exactly. Isn't that
Mm.
so crazy?
Mm.
So I was living in my oceanfront
Mm.
apartment in Bondi Beach in Australia. I was making more money than I'd ever made before. And I was like, oh, this is what I thought was going to make me so happy. I thought when I had all these things, I was going to be my happiest. But weirdly enough, it didn't make me happy. And so what I know now is like, obviously, money itself does not make you happy. But I do believe that by earning the amount, being in overflow allows you to exist in a frequency and to be able to have the choice to do whatever you want, gives you a level of freedom and headspace to allow you to live in your soul purpose. So I'm not teaching money for you to buy the G-Wagon or the Gucci bag. Like, cool. I also love designer things, and but
Mm,
that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this so you can have the freedom to do whatever you want whenever you want. Like when I first started on my journey and when I was even before my dad passing away, I knew I needed to go to therapy. I was so mentally like depressed, anxious, but I couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't afford it, so I just had to exist in this level of suffering. And I don't want that for anyone. I don't now if I'm feeling low or what I have the means to be able to go to therapy, see what whoever I need to see. If my leg hurts, I can go to the doctor. I can afford to pay for it. Like I can now live a life where I have choice to do whatever I want.
mm.
And now that means I don't have to do a job that I don't like. I don't have to sit in an office if I don't want to. I don't have to live in Canada if I don't want to. And I don't. So that's because so many people I speak to, they're unhappy in their job. They're unhappy in their relationship but can't leave because of money. They're unhappy in their body but can't afford to buy organic food or go to the gym. They're unhappy where they live but they can't afford the means to move. And that's why I'm passionate about this. I want to empower you to give you the financial freedom so that you can live the life that you desire and never have money as a thing that prevents you from living your soul true purpose.
Definitely, because it's a big obstacle for a lot of people. And also it's interesting because it can be the source of many problems, but people think it's a bad thing, which is, it's the solution for many problems, but people still resist it. It's really crazy. Like they don't want to talk about it, or they feel that if you do something for money, it's a bit of a sellout. It's a strange thing. So what is success for you? What is your definition of success?
Hmm, that's a very good question. I heard this quote the other day. Actually, my partner told me about this, and this really resonated. He was listening to interviews of billionaires, and someone asked him, like, what is success to you? And the man said, the success to me is when my grandchildren call me and want to see me. Like, no money matters. And I
Mhm.
think to me, success is doing something that you love every day and getting resource to do that. But success to me is like living out your soul purpose. And when you do that, the universe will always reward you. So I don't feel like I work every day. I'm like, oh my God, I have to go to work. I can't wait for Monday. I even work on the weekends because I just like, I love what I do. And to me, that feels like success is to be able to do what you want when you want, to be able to raise the consciousness of the planet, help others. That is the most fulfilling thing ever. And to me, that's why we're here. Like everyone is put on this planet for a reason. You are not here by coincidence. It's not this by chance, I just fell onto earth. No, you are here for a reason. Everyone is here for a reason. And I believe we're all here to live out our soul purpose and to meet our soul mate and to live in our soul home. Those three things. And when you are doing those three things, like to me, that is the most happy, fulfilled, like joyful life that you can do. And as long as not every day, but like most days you're waking up and you're feeling excited about life and you're surrounded by people that you love and you feel incredible in your body, like that's success. That is success. And for everyone that looks different, some people want to be flying in private jets, some people want to be living on a farm. Like success is different for everyone, but that's like my definition of success and that's what I'm striving for.
Amazing. So you talk a lot about freedom in your website. What do you think freedom is? What is freedom?
Freedom to me is to be able to like just do whatever you want whenever you want. It's this idea of nothing is of limit to you.
Hmm.
If you want to fly to Europe next week, you can. If you want to not do something, if you want to stop taking one-to-one clients, if you want to stop working a 9 to 5 job, if you want to, it's this idea that you can like the world becomes limitless. And freedom to me is like you are free of limitations. You are free of societal pressures. You are
Mm.
free of your own mind's limits. You are free of what society tries to pressure you into doing. You just live life on your own terms and you live life for you, no one else. And of course, considering your partner and everything, but really, like, to me, it's about filling up your own cup first and then being able to have the freedom to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do. It's like my favorite word in the whole entire world. I want to get like tattooed on my forehead.
So how can we, this is something I'm quite interested in personally. So how can we eliminate self-doubt and worst case scenario thinking? Because I mean, you talk about on your website about going all in. That's a very scary
Mm.
thing for a lot of people, taking this leap of faith and following, a passion project or something like that, or a sole purpose or what have you. But there's always that gonna be, we're always influenced by people around us and people, that people can be quite intimidated if you start doing something a bit that's out of the box. So how can we eliminate that type of that voice in our head saying, "Oh, you can't do this," or "We're gonna
Mm.
fail"?
I have so many things to say about this.
Mm.
So I used to doubt myself so much. Like every decision I made, oh, am I making the right? I never trusted myself. So tip number one is to cultivate your level of self-trust and intuition. So we are all intuitive beings. We just get programmed out of that. So you know when you're hungry, you know when you're full, you know what you want to do when you want to do. But as we're raised, it's like, no, eat the rest of the food on your plate. You have to go to bed at this time. So we are programmed out of following what feels good. And as an adult, you can begin to reprogram that. So we all have this innate knowing. And I mean, that's out this outside. I can talk about this for hours of how to develop your intuition, but to to strengthen your level of self-trust is to start with baby steps. So it's not, I didn't go all in on my first business and been like, this is the first decision I've made for myself. YOLO. Absolutely not. It was baby steps over time of developing that level of self-trust. So, for example, I'd start like eating intuitively. I started working out intuitively. I started really picking up on the people that made me feel good, the people that didn't make me feel good. And I would take action based on that gut knowing, that internal knowing. And as I started to realize, the more I followed that, the more things worked out for me. And it just developed this level of self-knowing that if I'm following my intuition, if I'm following my gut feeling, it will always work out. There's never been a situation where it hasn't worked out. The only times that it hasn't worked out is when I haven't listened to it, when I've
Mhm.
listened to someone else, or I've outsourced that, or what should I do about this? What should I do about that? And I have this gut knowing I shouldn't, even though someone do it, do it, do it, and I do it, that's when it never works out. It's when I have this feeling that is maybe illogical and doesn't make any sense to anyone else, but I do and I act on that, I will always get rewarded for that. So if you're not, so when I went all in on my business, I I was scared. I was still very scared, but I had this innate knowing that everything was going to work out, and that's what guided me. That's what I followed. So if you don't yet have that level of self-trust, that's completely normal, by the way. I would say like majority of people don't, because again, we're raised in a society to not have that. It's developing those little things. So for example, it's like even waking up and being like, okay, even though I have to work from 9 to 5, it's like, what else do I want to do today? What is my soul calling me to do? What would feel good to do? And developing that level of connection with yourself, it strengthens it. And then it just, we all have that gut knowing, and it's about getting in silence, meditating on it. If you have a big decision to make, getting into meditation, getting into silence and be like, okay, what is my soul calling me to do? What is the right next step here? Like, help me, show me the way, and you will be guided to the answer. You will have a knowing. We all know deep down. And when you start to follow those little nudges will actually get louder and louder. The reason why they're so quiet right now, if they are, is because you've been ignoring them for so long. So they're like, okay, why are we gonna guide you when you don't even listen to us anyways? So when you start to make those little tiny keeping promises that you make to yourself, listening and acting on those little intuitive nudges, you will inevitably strengthen your intuition, strengthen your gut knowing. And then for me now, it's I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I just have this feeling, take action on it immediately. Because I know the longer that I wait is the longer that I suffer. And the more I take action on it, the easier I take action on it, the easier life gets. And big thing I want to know is if you don't know what to do, don't do anything.
Mm,
If you do not know what to do not do anything, because there's so many times where I've been rushed into a decision or someone's rushing me. And again, it's always the most poorest decisions ever. So until it is a whole body hell yes, that's the only point that you make the decision. And if you don't have that yet, just wait because you could do more damage than good than taking action on something that isn't a hell yes. And I've done it many, many times, and you will as well. But you're just gonna learn over time when you ignore your intuition, it leads to bad things. And when you follow it, it leads to really good things. And it's just a life lesson that I think all of us need to learn if you're not connected. But once you are and you're strengthened with your intuition, it becomes much easier. And I don't get that lesson as much anymore because I know now, like, okay, follow my intuition. I know the rule. I've been burned too many times not to.
mhm. So what does a hell yes feel like for you? Is something in
Mm,
your body or is it thoughts or what is it like?
that's such a good question. I am a manifesting generator. So
Oh,
for
me
all of
too.
you,
Me too. Yeah.
yes. Okay, so we
Oh, it's gone silent now. I can't hear you now. I think you might have pressed something. This is the really juicy part. Okay. Speak.
speak.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's
Okay,
repeat that
so
question. So what does a hell yes feel like? Is it
so
in your body or in your thoughts or both?
yes, okay, I love this question. So I learned a lot about this in human design. I studied human
Mhm,
design, and we all have a response. So mine
mhm,
is a sacral
mhm,
response, which means I have this gut feeling and I'm really lit up by something. I'm like, yes. But equally it's a very neutral energy. I think I would actually love to hear what your hell yes is. But for me, I'm just trying to think of a reason hell yes. Okay, I will say manifesting my home.
mhm,
So I made a list. I think this is very important. I made a list specifically what I want in a home, and I did not settle until I had everything on my list. This is very important. And also with the whole journey of me manifesting my home, it was literally a week before I had to move out of my house that I did not have a home for my to move into. Everyone was freaking out around me, but I don't know. I was like, I trust the universe. I'm gonna get provide the perfect thing. I just embodied the law of unwavering faith, which was like, I trust and have 100% faith in the universe that I will be provided with my perfect home. And I did. And so when I would go to a house viewing, if it wasn't everything on my list, it was a no. It was just simply a no. And even like my partner was like, babe, like I think you should just take this house. Like we're getting really close to like you having to move. He was like worried for me, which is natural. But I was like, no, it's a no. It is not a hell yes, it's a no. So once I found something that was everything on my list, and I just walked in this place and I was like, oh my gosh, like my whole body was like vibrating. I'm like, yes. And they were even like, oh, we'll let you know someone else has already applied and has been accepted, but if they bail, then you can have it. Again, this is a Saturday. I have to move out the following Wednesday. I will be homeless basically if I don't have a home. They pulled out. I got in. And it was like this like crazy moment. Um, but for me, it's this like internal knowing that it's just like a yes. Like it just feels like it's meant for me. And it's everything that I imagined and more. And it basically a no is just like I'm like, oh, it's missing this one thing. It isn't exactly right. Like, oh, I wish it had this. Then it's a no. Like, if I'm not 100% lit up about it, I'm so excited about it. It's a no. And like, I use this a lot in my business. So if I'm going to something and it feels like obligation, it feels like force, it feels like
mm,
push, it feels like effort, it's a no. It's just a
mm,
no. It's simply a no. And if I'm doing something that before I do it, like before I get on every podcast interview, I don't feel like it's effort. I'm like, I can't wait.
mm,
Um, then it's a yes. It's just this feeling of excitement and joy and lit up energy. And it's in human design, it's known as this like sacral energy. But I would love to hear from you. Like, what is your, do you know your hell yes feeling as well? Is it similar?
Yeah, well, I'm a sacral guru. I mean, my whole business is based on sexuality because but I was working in real estate before this in Engel and Volkers, it's like luxury real estate. And the example you gave about, an apartment or a property is very clear for me because I used to be, in the best apartments in Barcelona in an area called the Bourne. And some of these apartments were incredible, beautiful. You walk in and but something bad has happened there, like a divorce that's gone really wrong. And sometimes there was a more simple apartment but it had a better energy, so there's definitely picking up on this energy that provides comfort, a little bit of a mix between comfort and excitement. That's kind of how I would see it. And for me as well, I just I've always also kind of established recently what my values are. So if something is kind of aligning with values, it's not just about money, but if it feels right, then that feels good. But when you were speaking, what made me think about hell yes and hell no is also about the people around us. Because sometimes I found in my growth journey that some people align with me, and then I get to a point where it's not so much my growth journey, maybe my spiritual journey. Then I get to a point where my level is just not really clicking with certain people anymore. And there's nothing I can pinpoint in terms of what's happened, but it's just this energetic feeling of, when I would say, like, in a magnet, you put the magnets the wrong side, and it's like that. It's like being repelled. That's when you know it's not right. Does that make any sense to you?
I can actually explain what's happening there, like
Uh-huh.
on like a spiritual scientific level.
Hmm.
So every human on this planet radiates at a vibration between 0 and 1000.
Hmm.
And the more you learn and the more you're conscious, the more your energy raises. Okay? So for people who are very unconscious or um I would say like yeah, let's just use the word unconscious.
Hmm.
And it's not that they're better, no one's better or worse. So if someone's at 900 and someone's at 100, it's not that they're better or worse. It's nothing like that. It would be like comparing a first grader to a 12th grader. No one is better or worse. The 12th grader has just had more life experience. Okay? So when you start to raise yourself and raise your consciousness and the other person doesn't, you are just at a different level of consciousness, you're a different level of energy. And at that new energy, like 12th graders can't connect with first graders. Like they're just talking about different things, they're interested in different things, they're connected to different things. So once you raise your vibration, some people actually tend to fall away because they just can't keep up with that level of consciousness, and they are more comfortable and you are more comfortable connecting with other people at a similar consciousness.
Hmm. Definitely. It's kind of the scale of consciousness by Hawkins. Is that what you're referring to?
I've actually never heard of that, but this is what
Yeah.
I'm learning from my one of my
Yeah.
spirituality mentors.
Yeah, because it's interesting because about that scale of consciousness, because it starts off with the lowest ones, which is like apathy and guilt, like the low level of emotions. Then you get to kind of courage when it gets more neutral. And the higher ones are things like enlightenment, joy, love, things like that. So yeah, it's because I think
Yeah,
having this spiritual practice kind of gets you on that level, at a more sustainable rate, you know.
definitely.
Definitely. And then some things just don't align with you anymore. Like I became sober. That's a big thing for me, sobriety and eating like plant-based, like whole foods and like organic, going for the best, not the cheap,
Yes.
like the best. And another thing I struggle with personally is self-concept. That I think that's a really important part
Mhm.
of success as well. You have to see that you yourself in those comfortable environments and know you deserve it as well. But going back to what you talk about a lot is the subconscious mind. So you've alluded to that being that the foundation of success. So how can we reprogram our subconscious minds? What tools do we use?
Oh my God, my favorite topic. So, for those of you who are like maybe just learning about this word for the first time, I'll just give like a little background.
Mhm.
So, the subconscious mind is the part of your mind that was developed between the ages of 0 and 7. So, everything, your brain is like a sponge. I'm sure if you've been around children, like that's what everyone says. Okay, every children are like a sponge. They just absorb everything, and they truly do. Like your mind, their brain is in a level where they're in basically hypnosis, and everything that they learn, everything that they see, they believe to be true. So if I told like a 3-year-old that she's purple, she's gonna be like, oh, I'm not purple, and she's gonna believe she's purple, and she's gonna think she's purple. But if I told you at 8 years old that you're purple, she's gonna be, you're gonna be like, I'm not purple, like, because your conscious mind is now aware of the fact that you're not purple. And between these ages, and I'm just going to talk about this in money, but this applies to everything. This applies to what you saw in relationship growing up, what you heard about career success. It's everything. Okay.
Mm,
But just to simplify the example, I'm just going to kind of explain it on a money basis. So if you saw your parents fighting about money, if you what you heard about money, what the stress that you absorbed around your parents' finances is now your comfort zone around money, meaning you will only manifest what is normal to you, what is possible for you, what you believe to be true. And so it's really fascinating. So you can consciously, in your conscious mind, accounts for 5% of your life, and your subconscious mind accounts for 95% of your
mm,
life. And so you can consciously desire, let's say, a $10,000 a month in business, okay? But if you have a belief, a subconscious belief that states, I believe that earning money will make my friends not like me anymore. Because when you were 3 years old, you were in the playground and your friends were making fun of people that had money. And you consciously, subconsciously created this belief, knowing that, okay, if I have money, that is a threat because I'm going to lose my friends. It's a very survival mechanism to not want to lose the tribe, because the tribe back in the day, that's how you stayed alive. If you were not a part of a tribe, you would die. So there's many like very basic instinctual things that your brain will not allow you to do because it sees it as such a threat that it will, if you do that, you will die. So literally earning $10,000 equals dying in your brain, because your subconscious mind, its number one job is to keep you alive. So back in the day when we were cave women, cavemen, and we were hunting and gathering, it worked really well because it kept us alive and it kept us in survival. It literally was how we stayed alive. But now we have this like old-fashioned computer software working in 2024 where we have taxes, we have divorce, we have marriage, we have relationships, we have social media that's causing our brain to work in overdrive, and it's making assumptions out of things that consciously do not make any sense but subconsciously make complete sense because it's trying to keep you alive. But your subconscious mind does not know that your bank account isn't a saber-toothed tiger. It doesn't know that your taxes aren't a tiger running from you. But in your brain, it's the exact same thing. And to make this very simple, you think about a movie theater, okay? And there's a projector projecting film onto a screen. The screen, the movie is your reality. Okay. This is what we see. This is what we see in your bank account. This is what we see in the amount of clients that you get. This is your current reality. If you want to know what's in your subconscious mind, just take a screenshot of your life right now. What amount of money are you making every month? What is the amount of clients that you're making every month? That is your financial comfort zone. That is your belief system. You believe that that's possible and normal. So that's what you're getting every month or in your current reality. And in order to change the movie, we can't change the screen. We can't change with your conscious thought. We have to change the tape and the projector. So we have to
mm,
change your subconscious beliefs in order to change the projector. Okay. So one of my clients that just started working with me recently, she was like, I don't know what happened. I was making $30,000 a month. Then I got pregnant. Then everything went wrong. And now I'm barely scraping by, making maybe $2,000 to $5,000 a month. And I was like, okay, that's very interesting. And a lot of other coaches would be like, okay, well, let's update your sales page and let's do your funnel. And like, yes, that's important. And yes, I have gotten her to do those things, but that's not going to make the radical change. The thing that made the radical change, and she just literally made $20,000 in 7 days last week, is because we got her back into alignment, and she had developed all these threats, and all these threats started coming up when she started earning more money. All of her belief system got reactive of, oh, this is a threat, this is a threat. So her subconscious mind cooled her back down. It was actually more comfortable for her to be in the energy of scarcity and the energy of survival mode than to be in thrival. So she inevitably cooled back down. She made less money because that was actually her comfort zone. So now we changed her belief system. We got to all the causes that were causing her to cool back down, all the beliefs. We rewired them and reprogrammed them. So now she's right back up and she's going to be able to not only surpass 30, she's going to become a seven-figure entrepreneur because now that's her comfort zone. Now that's safe for her. Now that's no longer a threat. So she will naturally get there. She doesn't have to force it. She doesn't have to hustle. Naturally, inevitably, she will get her there because that is her natural, that is her comfort zone now. And you will get that no matter what. That's why you look at lottery winners, they win millions of dollars and they lose them because their comfort zone is that level of money. They cannot sustain the level of money because outside their financial comfort zone, it's outside their belief system, it's outside what is normal to them. And that's why when people grow up with a lot of money, they sustain a lot of money, they sustain wealth because that's their normal.
Mm,
So the good news is if you were raised in a financial reality, if you were surrounded by a low financial comfort zone, it's not permanent. It's not, this is how I was also raised, and I was able to raise my financial comfort zone to seven figures when my parents, literally my phone would get cut off.
mhm,
So in order to do that, again, what I know to be true is that my biggest jumps and leaps in business have never been because I've changed a sales page or because I've applied a new sales strategy. Yes, they've helped, but it's like building a home. You need a foundation to hold the home up. You need those structures in place. But after you have the structure, after your foundation, what creates a home a home? It's the energy. It's the
mm,
energy within the home, just like you were talking about. You can
mm.
walk into a home and be like, whoa, what happened here?
Yeah.
Energy does not lie. And money is just energy. So if you are vibing high around money, then you will attract lots of money. If you are vibing low around money, but you're still trying to show everyone off that you have all this money, energy does not lie. Money will always follow your vibrational point of attraction. And if you want to raise that, you just have to rewire your limiting beliefs. You have to rewire your subconscious mind in order to attract that. It's scientifically proven. It's like a simple formula, and people overcomplicate it, but it's actually so freaking simple once you understand that. Does that make sense as I'm explaining
Mm.
that? 'Cause to me,
Yeah.
this is like my normal, but sometimes I'm like, wait, does this make any sense?
So does this mean, for example, practically speaking, would that be, for example, let's say affirmations, or what kind of practices could we do to actually, because I like to call, I call affirmations like consensual brainwashing, because I just love how they can just go
Yes.
in at any time. And this, the podcast, by the way, we have I have a monologue about the topic, the interview with the expert. Then I do a book review, which is unrelated to the topic. And at the end, I have affirmations about the topic. And I've already made one for this episode called Money Mindset Affirmations. So that's something I love because I think I just have them on in the background, or even during sex magic, which is my number one topic now in the subject of my book, because it's always going in all the time. That's something I just love, finding affirmations about any topic that's my desired outcome. Any can you think of any more, or do you like affirmations, or can you think of any other techniques that could be good for consensual brainwashing?
I love that phrase, by the way. That is so good. So, in my journey, when I first started healing, I'm like a guinea pig. I want to try everything. I'm like, I want to try Reiki. I want to try
Mm,
subconscious reprogramming, hypnosis, everything. So, on my journey, when I was studying like how to heal, it all came back to the subconscious mind.
mm,
So, naturally, I was like, firstly pissed because I was like, this is literally everything. Why am I never taught? Why are we never taught about this? This is how to create your life.
mm,
And anyways, I got over that very quickly. Then I became obsessed with all of the strategies and the methods of how to get to root cause healing.
mm,
So you were not born with these limiting beliefs. You basically came to this earth as a beautiful, pure soul, and you've been programmed these negative beliefs. So the way that you clear them is you actually have to get to the root moment, the root exact moment that you believed this, that you created this belief. And your subconscious mind knows everything. It remembers everything. You have a timeline and it can go back to the exact moment. I've healed hundreds of people doing this, and no one has ever not remembered the moment. It's
wow.
fascinating. So we go back to the moment, you clear the moment. And so you rewrite the story. So we'll go back to the moment,
Mm,
then we rewrite the story, and then we your brain does not know the difference between positive and negative, and it sounds like too easy to be true because I think in society there's this idea that healing has to be long and hard, but that's such a misconception because an emotion only takes 10 seconds to clear, and a belief change only takes like 10 minutes to clear.
Wow.
So what I do, and it's actually why I created my app. The Higher Self app is the first subconscious reprogramming app of its kind. And what I'm teaching you right now to get to clear the moment to rewrite the story is this method of limiting belief playing that I've created. And you can't do it on your own because your conscious mind can't rewrite your subconscious mind. So you need to work with a practitioner. And for a lot of people, like myself in the beginning of my journey, it was just inaccessible. I couldn't afford $400 an hour. And so I taught myself how to do this. And once I started earning money and I got certified in all of these things, now I've put it into the app, the Higher Self app, so that you can go back and clear any limiting belief, get to the exact moment, clear it, rewrite the story so that it will change moving backwards and forward and it changes your whole timeline. So where you used to have this pattern of clients ghosting you, you no longer have that pattern. So another question that often gets asked is like, how do you know what the limiting belief is? Like, how do you uncover what that thing is in order to go clear it, right? So first step is like you ask yourself, okay, what is the pattern or what is the thing that I'm noticing in my life that I no longer want to have? So for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's like, I want to break past making $5,000 a month. I want to break past making $50,000 a month. I want to break past my upper limit, or I want to not have this fear of being seen online. I want to feel confident, or like feeling like I'm good enough for people to buy from me. Like we all have all these limiting beliefs. But the limiting, so let's just say you want to break through an upper limit around your income. Okay. So we establish, okay, there's a pattern in my life or there's something that's occurring that I no longer want to have. And I know that I create my life. So this means this is a part of, this is no one else.
Mm.
I'm creating this. So what is it in my brain that is causing me to create this? Why does my brain think it's safe for me to stay at this certain amount? Okay. And I'll actually share an experience that happened to me just quite recently. So I couldn't break past $100,000 a month in business. I was like,
Mm.
what is going on here? And I was like, oh, duh, I have some sort of, and I call this a hidden advantage. Okay.
Mm.
I don't, it's well known in the subconscious mind world. It's called a hidden advantage. So there is a hidden advantage that your brain is keeping you where you are. Okay. And something that I love doing is I just start to journal. And I'll be
Mm.
like, okay, why is it actually safer for me to stay at this amount? That's a really good question. Or why is earning over $100,000 scary to me? What am I gonna lose? Who am I gonna lose? What more responsibilities am I gonna have to take on? Okay. And you start to answer these questions, and over time, something will pop out where you're like, something that
Oh,
gives you this
wow. That's
this
so
belief.
incredible.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
gonna hit you where you're gonna be like, oh my God. So I was just journaling. I was like, okay, maybe I'll have to no. And then I was like, and then I was like, oh, I was like, I'm actually scared that if I earn more, I'm gonna lose my partner because because in my previous relationships, all my partners were really intimidated by my success. And so I was like, it's actually safer for me to stay here because then I get to keep my partner. So logically, this doesn't make any sense. He's the most supportive person in the entire world. He's never said anything to make me think that way. It's me projecting it onto him, okay? And onto my money. So then I did this method where I was like, okay, what is the consequence of me holding on to this belief? Okay, I'm never gonna hit my goals. Da, da, da. And I made all these like negative consequences of holding on to that belief. Then I wrote like, why is this just simply not true? And found evidence in my life. And sometimes I could like in this instance, I could even go to him and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Can you just help me reaffirm that this isn't true? Like, can you just give me evidence? And if there's someone else involved and you feel safe to talk to them, like with my partner, I was like, actually, let's just have this conversation because I know that he's gonna be like, Marley, that's crazy. Like, here's why that's not true. And then my brain goes, ah. And then I went into my app and I did the limiting belief clearing. And it was so interesting. So actually, I went back to when I was really young. I think I was like 3 years old. And my dad started going back to work. He was unemployed and then he got a job. And I saw and I created this belief in my mind where people start to earn money, it means that they're going to leave. So
Mm,
I associate earning more money with loss. And so
mm.
when I cleared that and I rewrote the new story and saw the truth of the matter, which is my dad wasn't leaving me, and he actually was doing that to support me. And he was actually doing that because he loved me, was to support the family, and he had to go to work. It wasn't a choice. He wasn't leaving me. And I rewrote that story. Boom, 2 months later, my first $100,000 a month in business. Woo! So it's like,
Wow.
yeah, and I didn't change any strategy. I didn't do anything else. That was the only thing that I did. And so to me, that's so fun. Like that makes business so much more fun and exciting. And when you realize that you're in control of your reality, you're in control of your finances, and you stop blaming other people, because I used to do that all the time, and you take control and like 100% ownership of your life, then life is to be really fun, because then it just becomes a game. And it's like, okay, well, what else can I clear? Like whenever I'm triggered, I'm like, yippee, this means I have a limiting belief that I need to clear.
That's so exciting. When you were speaking, I was thinking back to my point of when I thought I had a lot of these limiting beliefs set in. I think I was at a university that had a very good graduate employment rate. That's why I chose a specific university. I did French and European studies, so I had a year out in Paris, and then I got Latin fever in Paris. I met all these Colombians and had a Colombian boyfriend, and then I was like, I want to learn Spanish. So I thought I was going to go to Spain and teach English, which was a real it's really not what I went to university for, but I thought I wanted to learn a new language. And then some of my peers were like, "Oh, we thought you were ambitious and you're going to Spain." So I always thought I would come here for, let's say, a year or two and then go to London and get a proper job, with the grind, the rat race. But I ended up staying here, and I did end up having this limiting belief that if you come to Spain and live in a nice place, for quality of life, you're going to not earn much. And for the first few years, I was very integrated. I speak Spanish and Catalan, and I was working for local companies in the export department. So I kind of liked that kind of ability of, speaking all these languages and fitting in. But then I was absorbing the limiting beliefs of the locals, because I mean, the average
Mm,
salary is about €1,000 and everyone's struggling. So now I've
mm,
kind of taken myself out of that. And 10 years ago, I started making content in English. So now I'm kind of like living a more expat life, and I got to know lots of digital nomads and people like that, and they just really inspired me, just because they were kind of ignorant in a beautiful way about local problems and limitations. They were just living a more global life that was unlimiting. So I've kind of
mm.
absorbed that and just realized that you can live somewhere nice and be more comfortable.
Yes, I love that. I call them expanders. So
Mm,
they show you what is possible. They show your
yeah.
mind what is possible. That's like really such an integral part of my story as well, because like I said, I'm from a small town. And literally, there's one stop sign. Okay. I'm from one stop sign. And so growing up, like the most amount of money that I could ever fathom was like earning $100,000 a year. That was like, once I make that, I will have made it. I'll be so rich. Like, and it still is like that there. Like, if you're earning $100,000 a year there, you are.
Mm,
So once I started to get into this world, the online space, and I started to meet people earning $20,000 a month, I was like, excuse me, what? Like, I was like, and back home, I started earning well, but it was like so beyond what anyone could even fathom. But when I got around different spaces, they're like, oh, you're only earning that. So I noticed when I was around people who were doing way bigger numbers than me, it expanded me of what was possible. Living in that small town, I would have never even known that earning $100,000 a month was possible. Like it would be so far out of my realm of possibility. I actually didn't even know that for most of my life. It wasn't until I started getting around, like you said, other people who were doing that, that I was like, oh, well, if they can do it, so can I. And so I think really allowing yourself to be surrounded by people who are playing the big game, like you said,
mm.
is so important to your journey, and is so underrated.
Did you have to let go of people then,
I think
or was
this
it
is such
like
an
it just
interesting thing.
happened?
Like, yeah,
Mm,
it's so interesting. And I've been really like thinking about this, and I have a theory about this, which is like, I don't think I've had to let go of anyone. I think naturally, by natural causes, the universe will, like, I don't want to say remove people,
mm,
but people just kind of fall away if
mm.
they are no longer meant to be there, or no longer in like on your journey for you.
Mm,
there's some that I think you have to learn the lesson of like maybe it might be a people pleasing. It might they're fulfilling a wound for you and you're maybe like trauma bonded. And so there's been a few people where I've had to learn that lesson with. But for most people, I think as you naturally again, not making anyone better or worse than anyone else like at all. It's just like as one person raises their consciousness and their level of like expansion, I think people naturally tend to fall away because they like staying with their own level of consciousness. It actually makes them uncomfortable to raise to your consciousness just because of you. They have to do it on their own. And if they're trying to keep up with your consciousness, it was going to make them really uncomfortable. And so it's actually easier for them and easier for you to be around people that are on your similar level of consciousness. So there's been a few people that have definitely fallen away,
mm,
um, but very naturally, which was
mm,
interesting. Like moving or I'll move or something like this. And it's like, and then I'll then attract people on similar journeys, entrepreneurs, things like this, because that's just who I am and what I'm attracted to and who I'm attracting.
mm. A couple of quick questions I ask all of my guests. I'm really interested in your answer about this one. What is the book that changed your life? I have a whole shelf here about money books.
Oh my
I
gosh.
just love money books. Yeah.
Me too. So many books have changed my life. So many books have changed. I'm just gonna say the first one that comes to mind.
Mm,
Like there's been truly so many. The first book that I read that I would say like fundamentally changed my life is actually The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
okay. Mm,
That was like the first book that I actually read and applied. I like did the work, I did the homework, and he expanded me to show me that I could live online, work from anywhere in the world. And I've actually like always lived that. Like I've always lived, for example, I lived in Bali for 2 years where I was like earning US dollars and living in Bali where you like your money. His thing is like live somewhere where your money can go way further. You can live a way better life. And I've always like lived that and I've always worked online since reading that book and it just that book really changed the whole trajectory of my life and I hopefully one day can thank him in person.
mm. Cool. I'd love it if you made a Instagram post about the books that changed your life. That would be amazing.
Yes,
A little that would be
I've done a
amazing.
few of
Mm,
those, but like I like the actual thing of like books that have changed my life. That
mm,
is a very good question.
mhm. And another question I ask everyone is, what's the phrase or affirmation that you live by?
Okay, this is so cheesy, but on point of this whole interview is if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And
Love it.
everyone knows that I will say that answer because this is like my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no because life is way too short to be living out something that isn't a hell yes. And life just gets so much better when you are surrounded by hell yeses.
Great. So where can people find you?
Okay, so I also have a podcast called The Money Mindset Manifestation Show. I am Marley Rose Harris on all things social, and you can download my app on the Higher Self app on the App Store and the Google Play Store.
Amazing. And I'm going to actually sign up for your course that you're starting today. I'm on it now. I saw that. Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting because I'll have some more feedback for my monologue at the beginning when this episode airs. So we have a lunar schedule. I do a full moon, new moon, first quarter, and then a meditation on the third quarter. I also have to like look up the lunar schedule, the lunar calendar to know when to publish. It's quite
Oh,
witchy.
wow. I
Yeah.
love that. I've never heard
Yeah.
anyone do this. So cool. Yeah, I will actually get my I'll get my team to send over because we run that 7 day free challenge all year. So I'll
Mm.
send you the link. So if anyone's listening, because it will be after the challenge,
Yeah.
they can join up for the challenge as well. And get 7 days of clearing your money mindset for
Love it.
free. And it's so good. You're gonna,
Amazing.
it's so good. Just you wait.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. So thank you so much for joining us today on the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much. You're such an incredible host. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Oh, I'm really excited about it.